Welcome back to the Women in Money Cafe podcast. Now, today, with myself and Emily, we've got a special guest today. We've got Abby Birch is joining us, and Abby works for Claro Wellbeing. And so her role there is about ensuring that Claro's financial coaches are meeting industry standards. But she's also got this really cool initiative that she told me about a while ago that she's come to talk to us about today. And it's all about empowering employees to become what they call financial first aiders. Now, what I really like about this, I think is super cool, is if you go and check out Claro Wellbeing's website, there's a phrase on there I like, and it's about democratizing financial well-being and financial education. And I know that there's a shift right now about democratizing coaching. And I really love that because it's getting the support and the help out to people who wouldn't normally be able to access this. So I thought it'd be really great to have Abby come along and join myself and Emily today and just tell us a little bit more about this initiative they've got going. And who knows, you might be thinking, oh, bloody hell, we need this in our workplace. So that's what we're doing today. So I'm just going to check in. Emily, how are you doing today?
Very, very good, Julie. I'm ready to go and looking forward to hearing from Abby. Hi, Abby.
Hi to both of you.
Hi there, Abby. So, Abby, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's all right. So, mate, I've just sort of given the listeners a brief overview of you. Some of them won't have heard of Claro before. So could you just maybe tell us a little bit about them and about the work that they do?
Yes, we're a fairly new company. We started 3 years ago providing financial coaching direct to people via Zoom and sort of on a one-to-one basis. And we realised that wasn't a particularly efficient way of sort of getting our message out to lots of people. So we moved towards sort of business to business and providing a wellbeing solution for employers. But as we've gone through the process, we realised that actually there's a lot of people out there who don't have access to, I don't know, computers, or they're not able to access some of the solutions that we've got, like webinars or our platform for educational content via a laptop or computer at work. So we're now moving towards offering that entirely via WhatsApp, which is obviously really quite a cool initiative and very new in the industry. The idea behind it is that all of our content's delivered via WhatsApp. So you've got access to all of the same educational content. You can join webinars through WhatsApp. You can chat with a coach via WhatsApp and, be it one-to-one or just a normal WhatsApp conversation.
That's really cool. I think that's quite innovative because, as you're saying, it's maybe even more so since the pandemic, we're not as glued to our desk or in an office the same. So if I'm working in a warehouse, or if I'm working on a supermarket shop floor or something like that, it's just making it a little bit more accessible for employees such as them.
Totally. Yeah, that's the whole idea behind it, is to make it even more accessible than it is all, via the computer. WhatsApp is really very interesting because obviously we're all very used to it. I think we spend something like 30 minutes a day on WhatsApp. 30 to 35 minutes, I think, is the stat on WhatsApp a day. So to be able to provide all of this education and content and, information to people via that is fairly new, and it's actually a fairly new way of using WhatsApp. I think you'll probably see more companies start using it for those kind of things. But we're right at the front of that. But it's really funny, isn't it? Because WhatsApp's something that you're so used to having, and we've had it around for quite a long time now.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it is just about everybody's got access to it and just about everybody knows how to use it, which is, removing some of the barriers. So that's really cool. But I think the thing I really want you to talk to myself and the listeners about is this idea, this concept. I think you've invented it, haven't you? Of a financial first aider, like a first responder for money. Tell me more about that.
Well, that's exactly how I would describe it, as a first responder, or, like in your office, you may have somebody who's a first aider who you wouldn't expect to diagnose you. You wouldn't expect them to be able to, I don't know, provide an x-ray or put a drip in to you there and then, but they will be the first person that maybe calls the ambulance, stays with you, looks after you, supports you until the professionals get there and take over. So I think that's a really, really great analogy, Julie. Thank you.
I probably stole it from a conversation with you, haven't I, Abby? And I just don't remember. So, Emily, what are your thoughts?
No, I just think it's brilliant. And this is something I've been saying for a while that, I think it's been totally underestimated in the past, just how much of an impact how people feel about their financial position has on their health, their well-being, and particularly obviously mental health. It's all tied up. It's all part of the same thing. I recently took some office space and I picked up this lovely brochure that was being bandied about in this office space. And it was full of, yoga instructors and nutritionists and all these traditional people that you would think of when you thought about well-being. And I asked, well, can I have a page in that brochure, please? Because, what I do is I provide financial advice and doing it from a real sort of well-being perspective. And they didn't get it. So I think it's still quite new and innovative, this idea that, it's vital that we help people to understand and stay in control of their finances if we're going to impact their productivity at work and their mental well-being and their just happiness generally. So it's great.
I think you're completely right there as well, because, there is an intrinsic link between mental health, which we're all very familiar with now, sort of, and mental well-being within the workplace. But actually what contributes quite considerably to our overall mental health is our own financial well-being and our own financial health and how we feel about money. And again, something like 65% of people spend time at work worrying about their finances. It's a huge percentage. Sorry.
No, sorry. I was also just going to say it'd be interesting to know what impact or what percentage of people who perhaps take their own life, or who get divorced, all these really horrible things in life. Often there's a financial thing underlying in these situations.
Claro actually commissioned, or we teamed up with the Money Charity, and we've done some research into the link between mental health and, finances and the impact that has on them. So it's something that, is very important. And like, in the workplace, mental health is quite important. And we've all heard of mental health first aiders probably nowadays. That's quite Mental Health UK introduced that idea quite a long time ago now. And it's really picking up from that, from a first aider and the mental health first aider. We thought, what can we do that's similar with finances? Because people, in today's world, there is just so much information. If you Google, what should I do with my finances? Wow, bang. The information that you get back is just so overwhelming. Also, it's not just the information. It's like, I was just thinking, like, quite often I'm looking through TikTok with my eyes, like, between my hands, like the information that people are putting out there isn't necessarily correct or, or right for people. And, it's being given as fact and people are believing it. So there's definite need for knowing someone that you can go and speak to and get some credible information from.
I think that's the first thing that popped into my head as you were talking there is like, if you go and hit up Google for information about money, or oh my God, hit up social media for information about money, like, it can be a cesspool at times. So the thought that there's someone that knows how to signpost to trusted sources of information, that's invaluable. So could you give us some practical examples of how having a financial first aider in the workplace would work? What kind of things could I go and speak to them about?
So what I put together was a very simple kind of hierarchy of needs. I actually based it on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but actually transposed that across.
Did the money version, didn't you?
Yeah. And then added almost like a ceiling in there of what a financial first aider would be expected to know. So it's really important, first of all, that we're not trying to replace financial coaches. We're not trying to make people financial advisors overnight. We're not trying to get them to give people advice. What we're trying to do is give them a tool bag and a toolkit so they can actually talk to people about simple things about money, and have somewhere, as you say, somewhere credible to signpost people. So I came up with the idea of having this hierarchy of needs, which obviously a financial first aider can carry around, and then give people the tools to be able to understand where somebody might be on that hierarchy so that they can then signpost them to the relevant people or the relevant organisation to be able to go and get some information. We worked also quite closely with MAPS. They're now Money Helper, but they still call themselves MAPS.
Do you want to just explain who Money Helper are?
So Money Helper is a government initiative, which is a one-stop shop, I would say, for all of your financial questions. So you can go and find very credible information that is up to date via Money Helper. So if you Google Money Helper, they pop straight up. Go on to Money Helper, they've got information about anything you can think of. So going back to your initial question, Julie, about what sort of things can a financial first aider help with, it's really signposting for any help or advice that somebody may need on their money, on their finances. So quite a common one at the moment would be, who could I go and speak to? My fixed rate lending on my mortgage. The rate's going to go up because at the end of the fixed rate, your rate goes up. Who can I go and speak to about getting a better deal on my finances or on my mortgage?
It's funny. That's the one I had in my head. If you couldn't think of an example, I thought, what's everybody going to be asking at the moment? My fixed rate deal's up. What do I do next? So,
or I want to buy a house. How do I improve my credit score? But the mortgage one is quite common at the moment. In fact, I ran a course last week, and while I was there, one of the financial first aiders had that exact question, which is why it was forefront of my mind as a question. So the first thing would be to go and look at Money Helper, and then we offer them a Money Helper has lots of information about how to find a mortgage advisor, how to, what to look for in a mortgage advisor. But we also give them the unbiased website as well as a tool in their toolkit. If somebody needs to have advice, needs to speak to an accountant or find a solicitor as well, I think it's on there.
All right.
Oh, it's interesting. I was going to say, it's interesting that you use unbiased. Just personally, amongst a lot of financial planners, I think the preferred website is Vouched For, and I just probably should just do a shout out for Vouched For, because a lot of financial advisors only use Vouched For and not unbiased. But anyway, that is just something else that somebody can think about.
That's one for another day. We might do an episode on
that.
We might do an episode on unbiased and Vouched For.
Yeah.
But then going back, so you were just giving us some examples of the kind of things that I could go and see a financial first aider about. And you was given the really common example right now, mortgages. What if I'm someone now that is struggling with cost of living and I'm worrying about the amount of debt that I'm building up and I'm struggling to pay my bills each month. Is that someone I could approach? Something else?
Yeah, part of the training is to sort of run through the types of questions that you would get, one of which would be something along those lines. And then we've looked at good debt and bad debt within the training. So good debt being things that are going to help you in the future, such as a mortgage or university degrees. Bad debt, university fees, or loans for university fees. Bad debt would be things like high interest credit cards, payday loans, those kind of things. So we've talked a little bit about debt. Then we've talked about the different options that you've got to repay debt, which again is probably a whole nother podcast. So that the financial first aiders are familiar with some of the ideas. Again, throughout the training, it's really important to give people the confidence that they're not there to solve people's problems. They're there to give them options. And it's up to the person, very much like a financial coach, I guess, it's up to the person to decide what they want to take away from that and what they want to do. But underlying all of that would be things like looking at their employee benefits. So making sure, there's lots and lots of discount schemes out there. For instance, Reward Gateway is a very, very popular one out there with employers, and looking at what they've got internally, first of all, and then looking at the Money Helper website to see what's available there. So in your scenario, we also look at budgeting and how you can possibly sort of hints and tips for saving money. We run through how you can sort of save money on your energy bills, how you can look at ways to save money with your food bills, but how to create a budget, things you should be aiming towards, and if you've already missed a payment, giving people the confidence to say, you would need to speak to a debt advisor, such as Step Change or the National Debt Line.
All right. Okay, so what we've got is that you've come up with this cracking idea of let's create workplaces. Every workplace has someone in it that knows about money. So how do we get from you've got this great idea to having these people in the workplace?
Okay, so we are currently running some cohorts each month, and there's dates on our website for that. Alternatively, if you wanted to run one bespoke, I've just done a bespoke course for a company where all of the people have been on the course with me have been from the same company. And then we've included within the training all of their internal benefits that they've got available that may or may help, initiatives such as car sharing and all that kind of thing are included in the training because it was a bespoke package. But really, what people need to do is just to go onto our website. At the bottom of the website, there is a section, say, become a financial first aider, and then you can click through and inquire to us and chat about what you're looking to do or what you want.
All right. So if I'm an employer that's listening to this and thinking this sounds like a really good idea, then I contact you and I'll find some staff or a member of staff. You're going to train them how to be this person, and then we plant them back in the workplace and they do wonderful things.
Yeah, and we can do that either via WhatsApp, via Zoom, or via face to face, coming out to the workplace and doing it face to face.
Right. And then conversely, like if I'm an employee thinking, oh my God, this would be really great in my workplace. So I just go and find someone in the workplace, HR or whoever's owning it, running, and just saying, we need this.
Yeah, anybody. The way I've designed the training is that anybody can become a financial first aider. It's not, in fact, that was one of the first questions that we got asked on the last cohort was, I know nothing about finance. Am I the right person to be here? And the answer was yes. The idea is that within the training that we give you all the tools, all the skills that you need to be able to be an effective financial first aider.
Oh, that's really interesting because what I'm thinking is, okay, so you're going to equip this army with all the money knowledge they need. So in your opinion then, Abby, what are the qualities that we're looking for in someone to become a financial first aider?
So I think, first of all, you need to be somebody who wants to help people, somebody that's able to show, good empathy, good listening skills, and, is interested in money is probably a good start. I mean, you don't have to know anything about it, but is actually interested in helping people and wanting to support people within the workplace with their finances. Again, we look at all the skills within the training. So things like active listening, empathy, rapport building, open questions, all of the normal kind of communication skills really that you need to be able to talk to people and listen to people.
All
Of course,
right.
it's also really important to add that actually in as a financial first aider, somebody might not want you to give them an action. They might actually just want to listen to you and have a sounding board and someone just to talk to. Because I think that's quite a lot of the problem is, and again, what's come out of some of the courses recently is that men might not necessarily want to speak to their wives about their finances because they feel like they should be in control. And to admit that they're not is actually quite worrying. So to have somebody and create a safe space for somebody to go and just talk to somebody is equally as important as providing solutions to people or signposts to people to take the next step.
I think that's a really good point, actually. Sometimes it's just to listen because we can feel so alone sometimes with a problem. And I know, Emily, this is something that you feel really strongly about. It's like how taboo it can be to talk about money. So you've got money problems and feeling really alone. It can be really helpful just to have someone you can just go and talk to. You don't need anything back from them. You just want them to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. The most natural place to go to is a friend, isn't it? So I've got friends that, I wouldn't talk to money about because I just know they wouldn't be open to it. But then I've got friends who are, open to talking about things like that. But, I guess that's what you're doing is you're planting somebody in each large company and that they become the known go-to person, the one that you can talk to money about. And that's brilliant. I think it's an absolutely brilliant initiative. I'm just grazing through your website when we're just talking. So yeah, I'm learning a lot about it. The blogs are very interesting as well. There's a lot of financial education here that can be picked up for people at various different stages in their financial education journey. So yeah, definitely recommend that people have a look at the website and look at the blogs.
Okay, something Ellie's just said there has prompted a question in me as well, Abby. I'm hoping you can help with. So Emily was saying there, let's have a financial first aider in every large company. I guess it's what kind of companies would this be suited for? Is it just large employers?
No, as I say, we're running cohorts independently. So if somebody wants to put one person on, we can cater for that. But it might be that you were with other people from different companies to do the training. But equally, if it was a large company and they wanted bespoke training, we could go in and do that as well. And 20 financial first aiders or however many you need, like spread between the.
All right. So if I'm like IBM, you'll come in and you'll train a chunk of us all at once. But if
once,
but
filming for everyone, but yeah. So I think we're saying maximum cohort is 15 or 16, and minimum would be 6, really.
and how long does the training take, and how do you deliver it?
So it's 2 days, and it's either, as I say, over Zoom or it's face to face, whatever your preference is. Obviously, the regular cohorts are all done over Zoom.
All right. And then I guess, people might be listening to this thinking, okay, this sounds really good. And you're like, and they're thinking, how am I going to sell this to my boss or to the owner of the business? Like, we need this in our workplace, but it's time, it's money. How am I going to talk them into it? Have you got any tips for them?
It's really interesting you say that, Julie, because some of the stats that we've got is that there are 5 days per employee per year lost to them spending time on their finances. It's a huge staggering figure.
Say that again.
5 days per employee per year are lost to them spending time on their finances. You can take any of that out, it's got to be a win, hasn't it? And make you get more, be more productive.
Yeah, because I'm going to guess it's like, so the smaller businesses are, they tend to be a lot more focused on cost. And like, you're talking about taking one of my employees out of the business for 2 days, and you're not going to be doing this training for free either. Like, I can't afford that. But if we look at what the cost of not doing it is, I'm presuming it dwarfs it.
Totally. And, there will be a lot of employees out there that have mental health first aiders. And I would say it's probably just as equally important, and will probably make a very large percentage of people's mental health requirements will be around worrying about their finances.
Okay, so I'm listening to this. I'm like, okay, I'm going into work tomorrow, or I'm going into work now, and I'm going to say, right, boss, we don't do this. Did you know that you're losing 5 days per employee right now because we're all thinking about money? So you need to. Have you got any other leverage we can use?
So employees who are anxious about their finances are 2.2 times more likely to leave their employer and find a new job, which is another huge figure, isn't it?
Go on, Emily.
I was going to say the elephant in the room, really, I suppose, is just being controversial here. That's what I'm here for. Is that obviously you're asking employers to put some resource behind an initiative that helps people feel better about their money, etc. And I think that's brilliant. However, often employees feel disgruntled about the fact that they don't get paid enough. So do you think there's ever a bit of a backlash where employers are thinking, oh yeah, it's all great that they're giving us this resource to talk to someone about our financial difficulties, but did they ever think about just paying us a bit more and things would be easier? And I know it's not as simple as that, but often I think employees do have that sort of bitterness a little bit, especially when you've got this cost of living crisis. And obviously people's salaries are probably not increasing at the same level as their expenses. So I just wondered if you've got sort of an answer to that, or how do you deal with that?
I think you're right, and I don't think you can probably get away from that. But what we are seeing is a trend that employers are trying to help their employees navigate the cost of living crisis in different ways, to just giving them a pay rise, because equally employers are also struggling through the cost of living crisis and their costs are going up. And so they're trying to find new innovative ways of being able to help their staff and support their staff through these and retain their staff, because obviously it's far better for a company to keep hold of somebody than have to recruit and train a new person. And there are lots of And it's not just the financial first aid, but there's lots of new initiatives that employers are trying, the employee discounts schemes and employee assistance programs are albeit having a much higher take up at the moment because people are trying to support their staffs in different ways to how they have done historically with just money.
Yeah. So it's about spending and consuming smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think really good point as well that, historically we were all expected to come to work, leave all our baggage at the door, be really productive for however long we were at work and not mention anything outside of work that wasn't work related. Well, there has been a huge sea change. So and it's still happening that, it's important to talk about these things within the workplace. It's important for employers to actually support their staff to be able to, help alleviate some of the issues that people face at home to help them within the workplace. And then you'd have a more loyal workforce as well.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good question, by the way, Emily. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I love you playing devil's advocate. I guess what I'm curious about is because we've talked about people that are being proactive about their finances. So I know my mortgage deal's coming to an end. I'm going to go and find out about it because I don't want to go into the standard variable rate. I know that the debt's piling up and I'm going to come and speak to you about it. What about the people that are in such a place that they can't conceive of reaching out? Is there any training or any support to be able to spot, hang on, I'm concerned about that person. They know who I am and what I do. I'm just going to approach them and see if they want a cup of coffee or something. Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, one of our sessions is around spotting potential money worries in people who are having money worries within the workplace. So looking for signs like, somebody who used to come out with the team regularly on nights out suddenly stops doing it. You spot that they're worried about money. They're paying for things in cash, whereas they didn't used to pay for things in cash. And there's lots of different ideas that we come up with, and then we look at conversation starters because it's not easy just to walk up to somebody and to start a conversation. And there's lots of practice as well, lots of group discussion about how you can do that. Lots of practice. We look at different scenarios as well and how you may be able to help those different scenarios. So yes, that's included in short.
I'm going to put you on the spot here now, Abby, okay? Because like our listeners, they listen to this, they're not going to be able to go and sign post people to step change to money helper, whatever. I will put a link to these places in the show notes, but by the way. But we maybe all know somebody that we think might be struggling with money. So I'm just wondering if you could share a tiny bit of the training about how you might approach a conversation, be it with a colleague, a friend, or a relative that you think might be struggling.
So some of the tips that we suggest are, first of all, think about how you're going to approach somebody. Try and find somewhere that's suitable and be honest with someone and let them know what you've noticed about what you've noticed. And now that might be the end of the conversation right there. But as you know, with coaching, is that if you let them know that you're available, they actually might come back to you and speak to you about it. But some of the kind of ideas that we've come up with for conversation starters are, especially like in the cost of living crisis, it does make it slightly easier at the moment, but sort of, wow, my bills have gone up. How are you coping? So you're not actually saying to them, oh, I think you're having a money problem because of X, Y, and Z, but actually my bills have gone up. How are you coping? Or you seem to be doing lots of good habits at the moment. Can you share some of them? How have you found out about them? What's made you think about creating good money habits? Just to try and open up those conversations with people.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. So I think that it was just, I wanted to draw out some practical things that people could start conversations with, because we will all know someone right now that we're a little bit concerned about. And I think it's just creating that space to let them know, you can be on your own with it if you want, or if you don't want to be on your own with it, I'm here.
Yeah, totally. Or just something really as simple as just, you don't seem yourself at the moment. Are you okay?
Yeah.
We also touch on briefly, because obviously it is only a 2-day course, but we touch on briefly about some of the safeguarding issues around money. So what to do if you think, or who you can contact, or who somebody can contact if you think someone's suffering with financial abuse or has an addiction or is, got an issue with gambling. So looking at safeguarding, what that means, what help is available out there for people who may or may not be suffering with those kind of safeguarding issues.
All right, that's fantastic. So, as we kind of draw towards the end of the conversation, I'm just wondering, Emily, if there's anything else you would like to ask Abby or any observations you've got to share with us.
Oh, put me on the spot there, Julie. I used all my energy on that really good question. No, all I'd say is that I think it is a really great initiative. And I just hope that with all of these things, just breaking down the taboos and delivering it to people in the workplace, making it accessible, getting people talking. I just hope that people actually come to drink because, what they say, take the horse to water, you do have to make them drink. So, yeah, I'm sure it will happen. I'm sure that the way we're heading and with so many different taboo subjects that it is opening up, I'm sure that this is going to make a massive difference, and let's hope so.
Yeah, part of the last session or the last workshop, we give some space over to people to discuss. Again, it doesn't really matter whether you work for the same company or, different companies, but to discuss like ways that you can push this forward in the workplace when you get back, and, what you're going to do to promote your services and create the right expectations around the role so that people know what they can come and talk to you about. And there's space for that to happen within the training as well.
Yeah. But it's just one thing I would say is that I think that, being a financial first aider is great and it can really help with problems. I really hope that people get beyond the position of having a problem, and after they've gone some way to solving it, then they can just feel that they can be a little bit more proactive about their finances. And that's where, when we're a little bit more settled, that's where talking to a financial planner or an advisor will really help them. And I think, it's all very well making ends meet, jamming, as they say, just about managing. But, we want people to be able to have a nice retirement when they finished working as well. And that only comes with very, very long-term planning. So, yeah.
Yeah, we want people to thrive, not just survive.
Exactly. Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks.
All right, that's good. So, Abby, if there's one thing that you want the listeners to take away from the podcast, what would it be?
I think that there are credible places out there to be able to get real information on your finances without having to watch TikTok or look on YouTube. And I would say that Money Helper is filling that gap, and that you can trust them because it is a government initiative. It is up to date. It is a very reliable resource for people to be able to get information from.
I don't know if this is going to add or detract to its credibility, but sometimes when I'm having a menopausal moment about a bit of information, I'll jump on the Money Helper website and go and track down what it is I can't remember. So I'm using it, folks. It's pretty reliable. Hopefully I haven't detracted from their credibility by owning up to that.
Yeah. It is a very good starting place, Money Helper.
It is.
It won't give you personal advice, guys, but it is a really good way of making sure you understand the various issues.
It's a bit like Wikipedia for personal finance in the UK. So that's good. So Abby, right, thank you very, very much for sharing all of that with me. I'm hoping all the listeners are like, okay, this is really cool. We need this in our workplace now. And I'll put links in the show notes to where you can find out more about this and all of the websites that we've mentioned. But Abby, if you've listened to some of the episodes, and I know that you have, you know that we're a nosy lot, or curious. We like to find out a little bit more about the people we're having on the show. And so what we do is we ask a random question at the end of our episodes sometimes. And what we were looking for is we were just curious if you had an interesting fact that you would like to share with us and the listeners.
So not only am I a qualified financial advisor and a financial coach, certified financial coach, I also ran a bed and breakfast in France for motorcyclists for 5 years.
A baker B&B.
Icas B&B, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in France is that?
In the Pyrenees.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So I left the financial services industry for 5 years and went and did something completely different and had to negotiate a whole heap of paperwork and finance and tax and in another country in another language.
Now, was it just French bakers that stayed in your B&B or was it
They were all
international?
or mostly 95% English, actually.
Right.
I
Okay.
I also did it with a 7-month-old in tow as well. So
Amazing.
That's insane.
like doing things by halves.
All right. That definitely qualifies as an interesting fact. So thank you very much.
Mm.
Like, it just remains for me to say thank you very much, Abby, for joining us and telling us all about this cool initiative that Claro have got on the go. Emily, thank you for being the devil's advocate and the owner of the controversial questions.
No problem.
Expertly executed as always. And it just remains for me to say thank you to you, the listeners, for listening to us. If you feel the need to do so, you should go and leave us a review because one, I might eventually stop asking you to do it. And two, because it really, really helps us reach other women so that they can share with the information and the knowledge that we've got. But until next time, take care of yourself.
Au revoir.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.